Thank you. One of the biggest grilling weekends of the year is almost here.
There is more to grilling successfully than you may realize.
We visited one of the UW-Madison's meat science experts at the brand new Meat Science and Animal Biologics Discovery Building on campus.
Beautiful.
Jeff Sindelar shared tips to have you grilling like a pro.
Well, grilling, golly, what a fun activity. You know, millions and millions of Americans and thousands of people in Wisconsin enjoy this every year. And we've got a couple of grills set up, one just a standard gas grill. And then we also have a charcoal grill. We can have a couple different options. One is using what's called a lump charcoal. They're actually pieces of wood that are burned without oxygen, so they're partially burned. Very, very unique product, and it creates a really unique flavor profile. The second fuel source is what most Americans utilize, which is briquettes. And these are small pieces of wood like sawdust and some other things that are basically formed into these nice little briquettes. And they're very easy to use and do a really great job of grilling.
Charcoal versus gas.
Yeah.
What's better?
Yeah, well, right? So the fun thing about grilling is that everybody's an expert at grilling. And because of that, everybody has an opinion, and what their opinion is and how they grill is the right way, right? So here's an example of a ribeye steak as well as a New York strip steak. So these are generally tender steaks. You can grill them on high heat, and you can grill them relatively fast, and they'll maintain a really nice juiciness, and they won't get tough and dry. I also brought a little bit of a tougher steak. So a lot of people don't think about grilling round steaks or chuck steaks or maybe even flank steaks, but you really can. You just have to think about what happens when you grill them. So round steaks come from the muscles that animals use to move. And because of that, those muscles are stronger. And then because of that, they're a little bit tougher. So it's very important to cook a round steak very differently than you would like a New York strip or ribeye. So, a ribeye or New York strip, high heat and fast. A round steak or a chuck steak or some of those steaks that are a little bit tougher, low and slow. Chicken does really well on grills. You have to be a little bit careful with chicken. These are just some chicken breasts because chicken tends to cook very quickly and can dry out very quickly. So, applying a marinade or a brine really helps a normal chicken breast be like really awesome. Otherwise, just low and slow.
This is a commitment.
It is a commitment, and that is probably one of the most important points about grilling. This isn't like microwaving a meal.
Yes.
You have to plan for time and your attention to it correctly. Otherwise, things can go wrong really quick. First and foremost, food safety. So we are dealing with meat, and meat can have harmful bacteria. We place the cut on the grill, and you can do this before or after. So this is a little bit of a shortcut. So we put seasoning on.
Now, is there a magic time, or do you do it by you're just watching it? In other words, do you say 2 minutes on a side, or is it?
Yeah, really great question. So generally, I typically time it by a couple minutes each side, turn, and then make sure that we're using a thermometer to measure the temperature.
Do you put the lid on?
You can. I prefer not to, because when you put the lid on, sometimes you forget about it. So when you're grilling, you should never be more than arm's length away from your grill to make sure that you don't overcook a piece of meat.
What temperature are you looking for?
I am looking for about 130 degrees for medium rare, but 135 for medium, 135 to 140. Oops.
Now, do you have to let the steak rest?
Letting the steak rest for 5 or 10 minutes would be very advantageous. As you're cooking meat, and meat is about 70%, 75% water, that water is moving around, it's getting hot, it's maybe boiling a little bit, and so that water is trying to come out of the meat. So by letting it rest, we're actually letting it cool down a little bit and letting that water kind of equilibrate and equalize back in the cut. Use a clean cutting board, and again, don't use the same cutting board that you use for the raw. And if you did, clean it in between. Just look at that and
perfect.
See how we did.
Look at that. Happy 4th of July.
Happy grilling.
Happy grilling.
And that was good.
If you need to do some shopping, by the way, before you fire up the grill, there is a retail meat store located just inside the entrance of the brand new Meat Science and Animal Biologics Discovery Building.
Yeah, it is a very impressive building, that's for sure. Bucky's Varsity Meats open to in-person shopping on Thursdays and Fridays from noon until 5 p.m. They also have curbside pickup during the week. $55 million for this building. We're going to have to take a tour of this.
We're going to take a tour of it and probably do a couple more stories over there. It was really, really interesting.
Great grilling tips.
Now, are you hungry?
I am hungry.
Yeah.